Hi, my name is Moshe Kindler, and I'm the publisher of The Jewish Link,
Hi, this is Elizabeth Kratz. I'm editor of The Jewish Link.
and you're on the Jewish Link Pitch Meeting podcast. Welcome to I've lost track of how many episodes of the Jewish Link Pitch Meeting podcast. We have here a very, very, very special guest. I'm here with Rabbi David Stav, or David Stav, who is the chief rabbi of Shoham. Is this true?
That's true.
But is also one of the founders of an organization called Sohar, which, as a retired rabbi, I always thought Sohar was, and don't kill me, was like the Rabbinical Council of America. Okay, that it was originally started as an association of Dati Lumi rabbis in Israel. And I want you to know that I once said that to mutual friends of ours, and they said, you can't be more wrong. So, Rav Stav, welcome, and tell me what I got wrong about Tzohar. So,
actually, you really cannot be more wrong than the comparison.
It's always good starting off being completely wrong.
I have nothing against the RCA, but there's no connection between the ideas. The rabbinate in Israel is basically organized by the government. Unlike America, where most modern Orthodox communities have rabbis, and the rabbis wanted to gather together for technical reasons, sometimes for spiritual reasons, and for dealing with issues of salaries, contracts between communities and rabbis, and different professional issues that bother and should bother and concern rabbis. That's the opposite in Israel, because in Israel there is no association of rabbis that is needed to be organized, because they're all positions by the government. So they benefit their salaries from the government or from the municipalities. Therefore, there is no need for rabbis to associate.
But if they're government employees, they need a union, though. They need something, no? And our Rabbanut is a special type of...
There is a union, which is one of the branches of the Histadrut, the big union. Mm-hmm. And Tzohar was not established because of that, and we have no connection with these issues. Tzohar was established based on idea, where we felt that right after the assassination of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, we felt where the gap between observant and non-observant arrived to levels that could lead to the destruction of the Israeli society. We felt that we as rabbis, we have responsibility to bridge a bit the gap between observant and non-observant, to soften a bit the tension that exists in Israel between observant and non-observant. And we gathered few tens of rabbis to ask ourselves, what can we do different as a result of the murder, so that the secular people will be able to be exposed to Judaism and to religion in a way that will not turn them off and will not reject them and will not oppress them, and they'll be able to feel a part of the Jewish life. So we started to look after points of conflict.
But it was originally a group of rabbis but there are organizations like Geshe. There were organizations that were founded on dialogue.
With all the respect, Geshe was an organization that tried to create meetings between students from high schools, from secular high schools, and the Tilumei high schools, and to try to talk, to have discussions. It was in a very, I would say, educational level. Didn't deal with the real problems that concerned and upset the Israeli society. And I will give right away one of the examples that we started to deal with. The first issue that we started to deal with was the weddings. Americans are not aware of that, but in Israel, there's only one way to get married, and that's through the rabbinate. Now imagine you are secular. Imagine you are somebody that don't want to see a rabbi in your wedding. You have no other choice, or to fly to Cyprus or Prague or elsewhere. It used to be time that people went to Jericho or to Gaza. It sounds strange today, but Israelis would go to Gaza to get married, to get registered there civilly. But we didn't want this to happen for many reasons. Mm-hmm. The main reason is that we understood that once you get married outside Israel, actually, you miss the last connection, the last thread that connects between you and Judaism. You miss it, and your kids will not be recognized as Jews because the rabbinate will ask, and I cannot blame them. Why did you get married outside Israel? Most probably one of the spouses is not Jewish, etc., etc. So that's how we started. We started with helping the secular people to perform weddings, and we offered them our services for free. And again, another mistake, another misunderstanding that exists between Israel and America. In America, usually, most of the people are connected to a community. Even if they don't go to the shul, they will come to shul once a year, but they know they're connected to this community, to another community, even if it's not Orthodox, conservative, or Reform. In Israel, there is no community. Right. So 99% of the secular people have no community to relate to be engaged to. So when they want to get married, they come to the offices of the rabbinate. They don't know the rabbi doesn't know them. And it's like to go to the Social Security office or to the DMV or whatever. And there is no personal connection. There isn't something inspirational in registering to in the registration to the marriage, etc., etc. We decided to change all this. So we started to
even though you really didn't have necessarily say in the government. I mean, even though
no say, no political presence, and no connection. We were a group of 30, 40, 50 young rabbis, most of them graduates of Yeshivat Merkaz Harav, and we said, we will be your rabbis. And we started to perform weddings. Of course, all of us were authorized by the Chief Rabbinate, and we had 3 conditions that every rabbi that wanted to be a member of Tzohar was supposed to commit to. A, to show up in time to the wedding. B, not to charge money from the couple, to volunteer. And C, to meet the couple at least once before the wedding, so that you talk about the wedding, they come to learn about you, you know who the couple is. Again, you have to understand, in the rabbinate, in the Chief Rabbinate, which for American rabbis is unheard of, that the rabbi will perform a wedding, will officiate a wedding without seeing the couple at least once. Most of the rabbis I know in America, they meet the couple once, twice, 3 times, I don't even more. Here, the rabbi didn't. It's not the rabbi's fault. The rabbi didn't know who is the couple that he's marrying. It's like in a taxi office. Who is taking this ride? Who is taking the other one? Who's taking this couple? Who's taking that? The rabbis picked the couples at the last night. They didn't know who the couple is, and the couple didn't know who the rabbi is. Yeah. Now that's without talking about the bride counseling. That once imagine a secular couple lives together 3, 4, 5 years, and all of a sudden they meet a rebbetzin that doesn't know their lifestyle. And she starts talking about Taras HaMishpacha, the purity of family life, and she starts threatening them. Well, if you want to keep rules of purity, you will suffer with this. You won't have kids, you will have cancer, whatever. All this was recorded and broadcasted. People did not know how to deal with the secular couples.
It became a joke also. I mean, it became like a national joke.
Of course.
And by the way, I want to hear what Sohar did, but it's still like that in a sense. You know? Are people still going to Cyprus to get married?
Of course they do. Of course they do, but for various reasons, that is not already the case. People do not go to Cyprus because the rabbinate doesn't treat them well, because the level, the customer service of the rabbinate has changed dramatically as a result of the competition. What we've started, today we perform every year more than 5,000 weddings a year. We have thousands of bride counseling. But then we discovered, and that's a much serious issue. Rabbis, the way they meet the couple before, they don't meet the couple, that's one thing. We discovered something that for most Americans, they are not aware of until they come to Israel. In Israel, you have more than 1.5, 1.6 million immigrants that arrived to Israel since 1990. Each one of them has to prove that he is Jewish. Yeah. Now, if you come from an organized community where you have a ketubah and you belong to a community that is recognized in Israel, and your rabbi will send a letter, I know this and this family, they are Jewish, I know them from years. That's one case. But imagine you come from a Reform congregation, or you're unaffiliated in America, and worse than that, you come from Russia. You come from Russia where for the last 80, 90 years there was no Jewish halachic life there. Most of your parents and your grandparents got married civilly, so you have no way to prove that you are Jewish. Now you come to the rabbinate. Imagine the boy, he went to the army, he's now in the middle of the war in Gaza. Now he's dating with a girl, and he wants to come to the rabbinate, and he's told, well, you have to prove that you're Jewish. How will I know that? How can I prove that I'm Jewish? I have no ketubah. I have no rabbi that could confirm that I'm Jewish. So we established another department called Shorashim, Roots, which is main mission.
When did you start this? So Shorashim started. It's
a few years after. It's around 2000.
It's a division of Tzohar.
Division of
okay,
Tzohar.
Got it.
The department at Tzohar. Actually, we have 4 branches in the former Soviet Union, 3 branches in Western Europe, in the countries surrounding the former Soviet Union, Austria, Hungary, and Moldova, and we have 8 branches in Israel to help the Russian immigrants and the refugees in Europe to prove that they are halachically Jewish.
Not Kiruv, just to help
Not Kiruv. We are not, until then, we were not a Kiruv movement, or still not a Kiruv in the meaning of before and after pictures. I will refer to this in a minute. We are maybe the biggest movement of Kiruv to Judaism, but not to observance. And I will explain the difference. So that's how we started. And today we help every year more than 4,000 families from the former Soviet Union to prove that they are halachically Jewish. No conversion, no Kiruv, just to help them to prove that they are halachically Jewish. And we help every year 500 Americans, North Americans, and 500 South Americans to prove that they are halachically Jewish. Because once they come, and by the way, Nefesh B'Nefesh directs them right away to us because they have no tools to prove that they are Jewish. I mean, if you belong to a certain list of rabbis that the rabbinate knows who they are, so then you are proved. But imagine even if you belong to a regular community, and your father, I remember a story of a rabbi,
meaning they grew up in a tradition, like a community like Teaneck,
Teaneck,
but their parents,
their parents got married in the Lower East Side. I'm referring to a specific story that I remember, and they bring a ketubah signed by Reb Shimon Shkop or Rav Yehuda Shkop. Now every religious rabbi should know who is Reb Shimon Shkop.
Yep.
And most probably is one of his sons.
Yeah, the Maitcheter Eloi is what we call
right.
it. Yeah.
No, the Maitcheter Eloi is a different guy.
Shkop, no. Yes, you're right, correct, yes.
The Maitcheter Eloi is one, and Reb Shimon Shkop is another. Shimon Shkop is the Sha'arei Yosher. He wrote the very famous book of Sha'arei Yosher. Chidushei Alui Memeichet is a different guy. Anyway, this guy was a son of Reb Shimon Shkop. Another, he was a rabbi in the Lower East Side. Now, it arrived to a local rabbinate somewhere, a Sephardic rabbi. He never heard the name Shkop. He didn't have a clue about this family name. So he says, he sees a ketubah of the parents of this guy, but he says, I don't know who is the rabbi. And so they turned to us, and we had to tell, well, who is the Shkop family? These kind of examples occur to us every day, in tens of examples. So today we are the address actually for all Russian Jews and American Jews that arrive to Israel and need to prove that they're Jewish.
Is that formal? I mean, is it the rabbinate turns? They turn to you, or is it a formal relationship, or it's more kind of like an advisory type thing?
Most of the cases that arrive to us are sent to us by the rabbinate. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, they were coming to us, and we were the address to confirm, and the rabbinate relied on us. Today it's the opposite. The rabbinate sends them directly to us because they know that we have the officers in the former Soviet Union. We have the connections, and we have the ways to prove that people are Jewish. We have a whole team. It's one of the biggest departments in Tzohar to help immigrants to prove that they're Jewish.
You have to be based all over the country. North, Tel Aviv, South. You have to be everywhere. You have to be in every major city.
Natzrat in the north, Beersheba in the south. We have branches all over the country so that the Russian immigrants, wherever they are, will be able to turn to us. That's.
By the way, I just have to share with you the famous story, which I'm sure you've heard. Rabbi Wein, you've heard his story, his Aliyah story. So Rabbi Wein is making Aliyah, okay, and
he has to prove that he's Jewish.
He has to prove that he's Jewish. So he says, "Can you please show me the list of rabbis that are approved?" His name is on the list of rabbis, and he shows it to this bureaucrat in the rabbinate, and he says, "Well, I'm actually he's trying to prove he's Jewish. I'm actually listed as one of the rabbis that are approved to be believed. And apparently that wasn't enough for the bureaucrat he didn't accept it. He said, just being on the list of rabbis doesn't mean that you're Jewish enough for me. And I always, whenever I think about conversion in Israel, I always think about Rabbi Wein's story.
If you're talking about that funny story, I will talk about another story.
I love funny stories.
I will not mention the name of the rabbi. He's a very famous rabbi in the New York area. And I know that he's in the list. But when he signed the letter, he signed it in English letters. He didn't sign Reuven Markovich. He signed whatever, Reuben or whatever.
Yeah.
And the rabbi didn't know to read the letters.
Ooh.
So I said to him, "But that's the name that is in your list." So it took me a few minutes to convince him that the English letters are fitting to the Hebrew and to the Hebrew name that is in his list.
Okay.
Anyway, that was the beginning. The secular society realized the importance of what we're doing, and they had a lot of trust in us, and we started to expand our activities to many other areas, reaching out to expose them to Judaism. It started with Yom Kippur Project. Today we have more than 500 locations all over the country.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? First of all, we have to understand, in Israel, unlike America, most secular Ashkenazim will not step the foot in shul, not even on Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah.
They go biking, I understand.
They go biking, even those who fast. They will bike.
That's impressive, by the way.
What?
To bike, to be fasting and biking?
And to watch television.
They
would watch television, bike, and fast.
Okay, wow.
Most of secular Ashkenazim. They will not step the foot on shul because of several reasons. A part is our responsibility because the shuls are crowded and we have no room, double meaning, no room literally, and no room in our heart to make efforts in order to host them. Number two, most secular Israelis have no clue how to open the siddur, from which side to open it, and they don't know how to deal with this. And number three, to enter to the shul means that for them, it's perceived by them as identifying themselves with the establishment that they love to hate. So they don't come to shul. So we said if Muhammad doesn't come to the mountain will come to Muhammad. And we started to open shuls in public spaces, in cultural centers, in kibbutzim, in merkazei klita for immigrants.
And you can't do a traditional tefillah also. You can't.
We do traditional tefillah, but we use special sidurim, just like beginners minyanim here.
Yeah.
Here you stand, here you sit. We stop davening in the middle, explaining what's going on.
A full Yom Kippur davening, all day.
It's full Yom Kippur. I'm not telling you that most of the secular will come for most of the services. They will come for the Kol Nidre. They will stay for a session that will be running after the davening. They will come for Mincha Neila. A part of them will come for Yizkor. Today, most secular Israelis have no clue about Yizkor, so the older one will come for Yizkor. The younger ones will not do that. This year, because of the hostages, because of the...
Well, I was going to ask you, this year has been... I want to ask you the whole thing. This must be... Everything changed.
Everything's changed. I'll refer to this in a minute. We had a huge... if you remember, Yom Kippur, before the war broke out, was a terrible Yom Kippur where services were disturbed, were disrupted physically, violently, including our minyanim in Tel Aviv. This year, Baruch Hashem, I think this was repaired. We had a huge minyan in the Hostages Square where we had more than 2,500 people that attended. And to be in this minyan where the Chazan, that was one of our rabbis, is reciting Avinu Malkeinu, Shlach Geula Shlema, this and this, and he mentions the name and all the people say Amen. And for many of them it was one of the peak level moments in this year. It was a big tikkun this year. I think this year was a big repair and a big repentance for what was done in the last year. But I'll share with you a very emotional moment that we just experienced a few weeks ago. One of our minyanim was in Kibbutz Genusar. Kibbutz Genusar is a complete secular kibbutz near the Kinneret Sea. We used to send there a rabbi that became, unfortunately, very famous recently, Rabbi Avi Goldberg. Rabbi Avi Goldberg was a Tzohar rabbi. He was performing weddings. His wife is a bride counseling by us. He has 8 children, and he was killed in Lebanon a few months ago.
Just so you should know, they created something for him called Borcha, and they're coming. Actually, they'll be in our community within a few weeks. There's a big push to do something and we've actually we've done a few things on him and his family.
Amazing family. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Now we came with a group of Tzohar friends to Kibbutz Genusar, and first of all, to get from them the impact that he was doing in his coming to their place every year, and how he was concerned about what will happen this year because he was not coming. He sent his son to replace him.
Did you know him, by the way? Did you know Rabbi Goldberg?
Of course.
You know? Okay.
What do you mean? I know him very well. Mm-hmm. I knew him very well. And they said, we wanted to hear from the kibbutznikim. What was their impression? It's already a few months after he was killed.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't one eye that remained dry when they described the personality of Rabbi Goldberg and what an impact he made on their lives. With being there only 26 hours. And they decided, for the first time in this kibbutz history, to build a shul.
Wow. And
to dedicate the shul on the name of Rabbi Avi Goldberg. And it was a very, very emotional moment. And that's just an example of what Zohar's activities around Yom Kippur. We started to expand this to Purim and Shavuot, to Torah studies, etc., etc. And then we understood that actually we want to be an address for everything that is Jewish. For secular people, we started a program of bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, funerals for those who want to be buried Jewishly, but they don't want to have anything with a formal, established Chevra Kadisha. So actually today, we became a kind of an address for the secular people that want halachic Jewish guidance, but don't want to have anything with a formal establishment. Later on, we expanded it to a few other areas, to ethical center. Today, we are one of the biggest, if not the biggest ethical center that helps the hospitals and the families to deal with dementia problems. With
medical ethics.
Medical ethics, but not only medical, public ethics, many issues that connected to ethics. We are today in charge on the organ donations in Israel, officially, because we are the halachic address to consult with. B'kitzur, we became a kind of alternative, a spiritual alternative for every secular men and women that want Jewish guidance to be present in their life. They turn to us.
So you've now proven to me that there really is no equivalent to Tzohar in the U.S. There's nothing like it.
No.
In a sense, you're doing. What I'm hearing is a little bit what Chabad, meaning reaching out to the unaffiliated, but not necessarily to be mekarev. But certain things that I'm hearing you say are similar to what a role that Chabad plays in today, I guess in our society, in the U.S., and I think it does in Israel also a little bit.
Chabad. But Chabad is, I think Chabad is not as, I don't want to use the word successful. It's not as well. It's not the only one in Israel that is doing with this. And many of our services, Chabad is not doing. Weddings, bride counseling, proving Jewish identity, ethical center, all these issues, Chabad is not doing. The part of holidays, Chabad is doing. Baruch Hashem.
Yeah.
There is enough place for everybody. We are not competing. The opposite. We help one another.
But I think even the Haredi community, they do outreach on different levels.
No doubt about that. Again, they're dealing with, I would say, tshuva movement, before and after pictures. Our mission is not to make people frum. Our mission is to make people Jewish, to expose them to the beauty of Judaism and let them decide whatever they want to pick from that. We don't have seminars to make people from secular to frum. That's not our mission. If somebody wants to be frum, I'll be more than happy. We believe that our mission is to make people more proud their Jewishness, and by that being mekar of them. And by the way, we get it from all over the place that many people come to us because they feel that we have no hidden agenda. We don't try to say one thing and actually to mean another thing. Our love to our Jewish people is unconditional. It's not because we believe that since we hug you and we embrace you, you will become frum tomorrow. That's not our mission to make you frum. If you want to be frum, we are ready here to help you, but we will not be the ones to make you frum.
Interesting. Oh, I hear that. So that gets to my next question, which is, you mentioned that this whole year, I like that we're speaking now. There's now a ceasefire. I almost feel, and again, I'm not sitting ba'aretz, but I almost feel like we as a Jewish nation are taking a little bit of a breath. You know, the hostages are coming back. Almost no fighting, it seems like. Maybe even a chance to even look back a little bit to what the impact of. I feel like if you had come a few months ago and the war was still going on, it'd be a different conversation. But now, let's say 30 to 60 days after this ceasefire, what's been the impact on Israel? What's been the impact on Sohar? And I'm sure it's vast. I'm sure it's big.
Wow, it's huge. I would say, first of all, I think there's a difference between talking now and talking 4 days ago. It's not 5 months ago. I don't think the main issue is the ceasefire. I think the main issue is before and after Trump's speech, a press conference, which doesn't mean that his plans will be implemented. I don't think that any of his ideas will be implemented. That's not the story. The story about the mood, the climate in Israel, and the atmosphere. So I will refer to the two different aspects of the entire story, which is the Jewish awakening in Israel. And I want to refer not to the ceasefire, because the ceasefire doesn't seem to be something that is sustainable, and we don't know what will happen in Israel within
I meant more like not active fighting, not guys dying every day.
That's true, but we don't know if within 2 or 3 weeks we'll not come back to the fight. So I wouldn't build on that. But I do want to refer to the Jewish awakening that is existing now in Israel. And I want to take as an example the story with Agam Berger.
Yeah.
We all know the story, the amazing story of a girl, and we have to understand the background. And for many Americans, they don't get the entire picture and the deep picture of that story. And I will refer to this, if you allow me, a bit broader. Agam Berger is a secular girl. She grew up in a secular family, and as you can understand, her name is Berger. She's not coming from a Sephardic traditional family. She comes from a complete Ashkenazi secular background.
By the way, in Israel, you can't assume that, because the Sephardim and Ashkenazim are mixing. Meaning
that's true.
She could have
but
a Sephardi
at least
mother.
Her father. But at least the father is Ashkenazi.
Correct.
Okay, that's what we know for sure. And we know that they were not observant. We know that as a fact. She went to the army. We know that she doesn't come from a religious background. To think that a secular girl, without any background, will refuse to cook for the terrorists on Shabbat because she wants to observe Shabbat. She would fast on Yom Kippur. She will refuse to eat non-kosher food, and she will not eat chametz on Pesach.
Which she didn't even have to do. It's beyond halacha.
Forget the halacha. Yeah. It's about her spirituality, and that's not the end of the story. And she decides to write in the helicopter, "Bederech emunah bacharti." I've chosen the way of faith, and bederech emunah shavti. In a way of faith, I've returned. I salute to the IDF heroic soldiers. I salute to the Jewish people. En alechem means in Hebrew, there is nobody like you in the world. But that's not the end of the story. That's only the beginning of the story. Okay, so she was very moving, and she was very Jewish, and she behaved. The media, the Israeli communication, the Israeli social media is dealing with that story, with these Jewish anecdotes for almost 48 hours. And it almost sounds like the other 4 soldiers that were released a few days earlier were insulted that they were not Jewish enough. So then they published right away that they also fasted on Yom Kippur. And they also prevented themselves from eating chametz on Pesach. And all of this is discussed in the Israeli media.
I missed that, by the way, about the others. I thought it was all Agam. Okay.
For the 48 hours, And that's what the Israeli media is dealing with, something that 2 years ago was perceived as exotic, paganic, ancient, not relevant to nothing. And all of a sudden, the Israeli media is dealing with this. That shows one thing. The Israeli society cares about Judaism and wants to be engaged to Judaism and falls in love in people that want to choose the Judaism without any coercion. Please, don't the rabbis intervene. Just don't disturb. Don't tell me they were prohibited to do that, they were allowed to do that. Just listen to the voice of faith that is coming from these amazing girls that were in captivity. It arrived to a situation, to a level where Iton Haaretz, that is one of the parameters to see how the left wing reacts to these kind of events. We all talk about the usually separation between state and church. Yeah. So one of the headlines in Haaretz was, "Please, we urge for separation between church and media. Don't tell us these stories," which means they felt that these stories are having a huge presence in the Israeli society. What do I conclude from that? That we are, and we feel this all over the place. I mean, we saw that in the Minyanim in Yom Kippur. We saw this in the huge increase of demand in our Bar Mitzvah programs. We see this in our internet. We have an internet TV channel in Israel. And we see this in the millions of entrances to our programs. We see that there is a huge thirst for Judaism. That doesn't mean that they become frum tomorrow morning. No, I don't want to mislead nobody. That doesn't mean that we don't have problems. That doesn't mean that there is no big split between the secular society and the Haredi society because of the draft bill. It doesn't mean that we solved all the problems, but it means that we are in an era of a window of opportunities that we would be better off if we would not allow ourselves to miss this opportunity.
I hear that. That's interesting. Okay, and let's talk specifically. Okay, so the mood has changed. The desire to I guess the warmth to Yiddishkeit, Judaism, positive is there. What have you done in the last year? What has Tzohar done? I'm saying it could be personal also. What have you done, Rav Stav? How has it changed your rabbinate? How has Shoham changed? Shoham is a beautiful. Last time I drove to Shoham, it's a beautiful community.
It is a beautiful place, a beautiful community. Look, what I changed in my life. I started to go. Just like the Medrash describes Elkanah, going from one place to another. I don't refuse to no request to come to speak. I speak in lawyers' offices, in firms, in high technology firms, in pre-army schools, secular high schools. I guess every week I'm at least in one or two institutions that want to hear me about our Jewish approaches. And I was just invited to a Ynet conference and to other conferences to speak there about Jewish issues. I think that it's not only me, it's about Sohar, that we are invited to be a part in the Jewish awakeness all over the country. We are, I think, in the television, in radio channels in Israel, quite often invited to speak and to represent the Jewish approach. It's a lot about the hostages issues. What is the Jewish approach? It's about other issues that are in conflict. I guess I'm not in Israel now, but I guess that once I'll be back, the issues of the Trump press conference, the idea of transferring Palestinians from Gaza will be discussed in different levels, including the Jewish level. B'kitzur, it's we are there to give a Jewish response or Jewish approach to all the issues that are on the national agenda.
And for us sitting here, now that we're in the United States, as a former fundraiser, but I know you're here for, what's the message to us in Be'arzot Habrit in the United States? What's the Tzohar message here? But it sounds like we should be setting up a Tzohar here in a sense. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm saying, what's the message to my readers?
I can tell you that whenever I talk to the Tilumi people, always give a hint in a nice way that I think basically that the religious communities are focusing on themselves, on their members. They are not focusing on reaching out to others. I met yesterday one of the very famous rabbis in the modern Orthodoxy, and he says to me, whenever I see a rabbi that is proud to tell me, well, 100% of my community are Shomer Shabbos, I say to him, a shame of you that 100% of your members are Shomer Shabbos. You should be proud to be a rabbi of the 50% that are not Shomer Shabbos and still come to your shul. It's not nothing to be proud of that you are a rabbi of the Shomer Shabbos. Please be a rabbi of those who are not Shomer Shabbos. So
tough statement. Interesting.
A very famous rabbi. Since I didn't get his permission to quote,
It's okay.
I don't use his name.
By the way, what you're saying is advocating is an expanded view of the rabbinate, meaning that's not everyone. Most people are not able to see beyond their noses, and I'm as a it's hard to see beyond your shul contract, beyond your 100-member families. Very, you know this. It's hard.
I understand that, but still, I urge people to look out to the Israelis that are living in the area. And most of them, they escaped from Judaism. They escaped from religion that is coercive. It doesn't mean that they will escape from their own identity if they're exposed to that in an embracing way, in a smiling way that the American rabbis know how to do. And I think in one of the conferences of the RCA many years ago, I said to the American rabbis, look, it brings us back to the RCA.
Yes.
What the Israelis need from you is a very simple thing, just one thing.
Yeah.
That you all know how to do it. Just do it. Smile, because they don't know. They never met a smiling rabbinate. Please help them to smile, to find a different face of the rabbinate. There was the Rabbi Schwartz from the Av Beis Din of America from Chicago, and he stood up and he said, "I want to strengthen what Rabbi Stav was saying. I just arranged a get for an Israeli couple, a professor or something, and when they finished the get, get is not a pleasant experience.
No.
They said they thanked me and they said to me, we would never believe that a rabbi could give us such a nice experience. Even it's such a not unpleasant situation, but you encouraged us, you smiled to us. And that's all what we needed, nothing else." So I think the message that Sohar, I think, would give to the American jury is, please give a hug. Give a hug to the Israelis. Give a hug to those that you meet outside your communities and do not belong officially to your community. Give a hug to the forces in Israel that want to strengthen the unity. Don't strengthen the edges, because the edges are strong enough without you. And we don't need to come back to the split of October 6, 2023, which we are moving very quick to that situation on steroids, where each party blames the other of being responsible direct or indirectly to what happened in the massacre of October 7th. We need to strengthen the forces that are unifying Israeli society versus those who want to strengthen the split. And the Israeli society is not sustainable today. It's inclining. It's a part of our DNA to split, and we should make all efforts possible to strengthen the forces that unify the Israeli society.
Rabbi Stav, I really appreciate what you just said, and Sohar, you want Sohar to be at the forefront of making sure that those.
That's our mission.
I wish you bracha v'atzlacha. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Shkoach. Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for being with us on the Jewish Link Pitch Meeting podcast. If you would like to participate or be in touch with us in any way, please email us at editor@jewishlink.news and follow us and find our podcast wherever you find podcasts.